In last November's midterm election, voters gave our nation a wake-up call. After 6 years on a wayward course, we told our nation's leader we demanded and got a change. This year, Hartford has another choice to make, a decidedly local one. Are you satisfied with the way things are? No. Or are we ready to change? Yes. I can't hear you. Yes. All right. Ready to make our great city great once again. Rebound cities, Baltimore, Providence, Pittsburgh, have great energy, a vibrancy you can feel on their sidewalks, in the public squares, in their neighborhoods. It's time to crank up the voltage here in Hartford and send energy surging to every corner of this town. For this to happen here, we must bring down the curtain. Couldn't hear me. We must bring down the curtain of the solo act, long playing at 550 Main. It is time, no, it is past time, for seismic but practical change to realize 21st century greatness. My name is Art Feltman, and I'm running, Dermot, to be your mayor. I was not born in Hartford, but I've lived more than half my life here, my entire adult life, working in our community for lasting change. Eugenio told you a little bit about it, about my life story. Wesleyan was my port of entry in Connecticut, with a pause for law school in the West End. But Park Street was a threshold I crossed on this continuous, let me repeat, continuous 26-year journey, never looking back. Taking up the causes of public safety, better housing, quality schools, more jobs. I knocked on hundreds of doors in Sheldon Charter Oak, Blue Hills, Frog Hollow, and the South End. I told neighbors that they worked together. There was much they could do. They did. And together, we did a lot of good. Hartford had its troubles back then. It still has many today. In 1981, I met the tenants of an 8-unit apartment building on Glendale Avenue, not far from Park. They were senior citizens living on fixed incomes in a building owned by an absentee landlord. This landlord, who had neglected the building, had the nerve to raise their rents far above the market. Well, we took them to the Fair Rent Commission. And Sue, we had a Fair Rent Commission back then in Hartford, and we won. I notice the landlords aren't clapping. Mark, where are you? My mission was to organize citizens like you to march on City Hall and the Board of Education to demand change. I felt welcomed by this close-knit community. in every section of the city. You treated me with kindness and respect. Our challenges, well, they remain daunting. But the example set by our foremothers and forefathers blow like a wind at our back. While Detroit had Ford and Pittsburgh had its Carnegie, we in Hartford had our Samuel and Elizabeth Colt. Mass production, the technology that made America a world power. Where did it begin? Right here. And we owe much of it, we now recognize, to the ingenuity of a woman, Elizabeth Colt. In an era when reading was the primary means of communication and entertainment, we didn't have VCRs and power stations back then, the two most popular authors were Harriet Beecher Stowe, as you know, and Mark Twain. They spoke to the rest of America from its literary capital. Where was that? Hartford, Connecticut. We were a handsome and prosperous city, leading our country in presenting and shaping the American story. Tonight, we need to start writing a new story, a true page-turning chapter of Hartford on the rise. The elements of our new story are all here, aren't they, Oz? Parks lining both banks of the Connecticut River. A new convention center with hotel tower towering above. Condos and apartments have sprung up all over downtown. Insurers and banks. Carol, where are you? Are moving jobs back to the city. Thank you very much. Developers are beginning to invest again. But we could have and should have done much more. We should have become a livable city, a workable city, where people have access to solid, well-paying jobs. A city that attracts people who want to climb to the top. The talented people, everybody. As your mayor, we will write that story together, you and I, until Hartford is widely recognized as the city that can.